All right, we are here with Josh Coburn. He is one of Link's top agents and has his hand in a bunch of different pots, but we're going to talk to him about kind of his journey through the process, maybe how he joined Link, why he joined Link, production, and just ideas, thoughts, and kind of just jump around a little bit in that regard. So, yeah, I mean, Kobe, you want to give him a little bit better intro, or you know him better than I do?
Yeah, Josh joined Link.
Aside from the espresso martinis, I know all about that. But we'll leave that one for later.
It's White Claws is your favorite drink.
Yeah,
that's his. That's the
like
go-to.
My coasting keeps level headed.
And then espresso martinis are at golf tournaments.
That's
yeah.
after the tournament. I got you.
Tournament. Right. Yeah, Josh, you've been with us for 3 years now, 4 years, since like 21. It feels like you. Josh was actually one of our first teams. Feels like just yesterday we were in Belmont Shores drinking some coffee with me, you, and Bernie, and you guys kind of took a shot in the dark on a new startup that I hope has paid off for you since joining. But yeah, Josh is always either top agent or top two, usually at Link. You guys have the real estate side, obviously property management. You started in property management and short-term rentals. And yeah, do you want to, I guess, give us a little bit of background on how you got into real estate, how you got to where you are at today?
Yeah. Big question. Many heads to that hydra. Many pots to have hands in. I like to think of it like different hats and then one honeypot.
Okay.
The honeypot is an ecosystem. So the idea is like, so I never want what Mike Dillard. So this guy Mike Dillard, digital marketing guy. I followed a lot of his stuff. He went big for seeing we're just jumping into this here, but he saw how everyone wanted to sell different types of products. There were all these MLM companies. And he was like, hey, I see them, but I don't want to sell gold and gold mining. I want to sell the maps and the pics, right? So he started magnetic sponsoring. He understood copy. He understood psychology. And he went from magnetic sponsoring. He turned that into I'd call it an empire, but he kept it very controlled, right? He didn't hire a lot of people. But he talked about building an ecosystem and essentially having a honeypot, which a lot of guys talk about having a honeypot. So the answer is no, I didn't really start with property management. Definitely a slower moving business model, property management. There are big companies that buy property management companies, but they're doing it for the data. They're doing it for the relationships. So the key here is procuring cause. I mean, the industry is built off of procuring cause. But being the one to have a say in what gets someone to convert from a static, product that's out there, turn it into, I want to sell it. I want to renovate it and sell it. I want to cash flow it. Like being that person who's in that position, it's kind of required me to bounce around with these different hats. So that's always been my goal, is creating a honeypot where I don't have to have my hands in different spots, even though it's felt like that at times, and to build it, sometimes they're separate. The goal is actually to create an ecosystem. And so my vision for Chamberlain Real Estate, which doesn't have my name on it, right? A lot of people think that I'm Chamberlain. I'm not related. Craig Chamberlain is a very successful, very accomplished agent who built a company really just with time, consistency, persistence, great salesmanship. Him and his brother in the industry have been in it for a long time, but Craig's looking at it and he knows the value of the relationships that he has, and him and I decided to partner. So I didn't build Chamberlain Real Estate. I more saw an opportunity to bring a little bit of new energy alongside Craig and do not this Craig, obviously.
Craig with a C, not Craig with a K.
Craig with a C, yeah. But to work with him and to do what I knew I was good at. So that's also another part of this is the reason I saw the honeypot model was what I wanted, or the ecosystem I wanted to build. And I know I'm jumping around. I'm trying to bring it back to what my focus is. What I sold Chamberlain Real Estate as, not just to him, but to our clients over and over, is really we're asset management, but we're the home team. Like we are the ones, the agent that's around the corner that, many years ago would be the one door knocking, dropping off the notepads, doing the cold calling the neighbors. How is everything? Who do you know is ready to buy or sell? taking that into asset management, because I do believe that real estate is falling in the current market, in the current world. It's going from the hands of many, where the middle class can afford it. I do believe that it's making a shift towards fewer people control it. And so with that, there's fewer decision makers, and the value of those relationships just skyrockets. So if I can have those relationships through property management, where we show them we do a good job, to put it super simple, if I can have that relationship through bringing them a cash offer, if I can have that relationship through having sold the house in the past, and then telling them, hey, we know this house inside and out, we can bring you an offer anytime, and kind of piggyback off of the authority that Craig already had, Craig with the C already had with Chamberlain Real Estate, to let them know that, hey, we've been around for 35 years. We can continue taking care of you and the family when dad or mom or grandpa or grandma sell this and you need to move, or when you inherit it, building an asset management model that does have, where I do have many hats, but I don't really want to, right? It's not like I'm the guy for all of it. I'm trying to put those people in those positions. So that's really what I'm going after. That's what I'm trying to build. I think anyone who has a long-term vision in real estate should also be doing something similar. Maybe it's not everything. It doesn't necessarily have to be everything. You guys are building a honey pot with Link in a way. And I love the vision you guys have. I think there's a lot of ways that we can be catalysts for growth together. And I love what Link was offering. That's why we started together a couple of years ago. What it did is, I saw that you guys weren't coming trying to leech off of value that I created in the market, but you all also wanted to be a catalyst for helping us go to the levels that we want to go to. That there's a lot of ways that you guys have done that, and it's been awesome relationship. So there's a lot back at you, but yeah, it's been fun. I never really wanted to be another term. Never wanted to be the dancing bear. I will tell everyone that. Did not want to be the realtor. That's the local guy. Did not want to be the guy that's going door to door, even though I'm willing to put in the work. A little bit of it was hating to feel like I'm asking for something without providing anything. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, it really cut at the core of who I felt I was. I didn't want to ask for value back. I didn't want to ask for trust without coming with something, right? So how do you do that? You do that by building something, and then the people, when they see you, they want to be a part of what you're doing, or they trust you to take care of them. So it's fun.
So I want to unpack that a little bit, because you said when you met up with Craig, what were you doing and what value did you bring to his team? Explain more about your asset management style, because obviously it's a vertical, right? You want to try to keep everything in your vertical. Unpack that a little bit more, because you went through that so fast. I think you're going to lose a lot of people. So dive into that piece.
So what did I bring to Craig? So I think, I'm a team player type. I played football. I played rugby. I've always been a part of a church. Always been a part of my friend group. Like, we want to do things together. Some of the most valuable times of my life were weightlifting with my teammates in football and my good friends, right? That's huge to me. And so I saw what Craig was doing, and he has himself. He's unique. He's not someone that has ever really looked for a partner in any way. He's worked with his brother, but for the most part, he's the agent that's been there the longest, since when they were at Century 21, and then converted into Team Chamberlain, and then now Chamberlain Real Estate. Him and I together. I've worked with Craig. There's nuance to it. I've worked with him for something like 10 years at this point. So I built value there alongside him, showed him when I said I was going to do something that I would do it. When I got my license, I didn't want to become a real estate agent. I wanted to make some money, but I didn't want to become a real estate agent. I did, but I actually went into more of the tech and digital marketing side. So Craig has always regarded me as someone that can turn on lead flow conversations, can take, the fact that, we have hundreds of people on a list, that are good friends or have worked with us in the past, turn that into new conversations and into sales, so that he doesn't ever have to make cold calls. And he'll still follow up with his friends and his colleagues, or someone who's told him, I'm going to sell at some point. He still does that. But I saw that he's sitting on a gold mine. He knows he's sitting on a gold mine. How is he going to monetize it? Well, it's already going to spin off some type of income from those people just calling him when they feel like selling.
Mhm.
But if you shake it up gently and with care, you can actually bring more sales to the surface. And so I brought digital marketing, email stuff with the website, stuff with specialized conversations that were focused on getting people to understand that we could help them with management, right? It's something as simple as, we do have a management company, right? Craig has always done property management, but he never had it under a company name. It was just under himself, right? Again, what a lot of agents do. But formalizing into a property management company, it doesn't sound very sexy or fun. My vision with that is the asset management idea. Hey, Susie, we've taken care of you. So happy we were able to help you sell the house. I know your mom and dad are still around in the area. And I think you mentioned that you guys have rental properties. Did you know that we have a management company that does asset management? We could turn on great rents, and we take care of those properties, not only for your parents, but also for your future. Oh my gosh, what? I didn't know that, right? Most people sitting on their sphere of influence, their SOI, I'm talking about most people being real estate agents, they don't really know how to have those specific lead generating conversations and keep them easy, right?
Not super salesy.
Not salesy, right? Those easy conversations, like, hey, like, for example, getting reviews, right? Simple thing, and everyone thinks it's like, oh yeah, it's automatic. It's not automatic. You have to ask for them.
Like 12 times sometimes.
Yeah, no, and I will ask 12 times sometimes, because the way I say it, is, same thing, Susie, right? Let's say we just sold Susie's house in the last 6 months even, doesn't matter. Hey, Susie, how are things? Going well? Oh my gosh, you got the house in Tennessee or this or that. That's amazing. How's your daughter? How's the dog? You were worried about the new yard, right? I just care about them and have conversations about them. It's not fake. It's not focused on getting a sale or getting something out of her, although that's a part of what I'm trying to do, right? I am trying to get some value back, and I do care, right? So that's also, not to dive into a whole other thing, belief in yourself and what you're doing at every moment, I think, is essential to create, especially if you're going to create something that's a little bit complex, right? Like a honeypot or an ecosystem for yourself. But I will ask, and I'll say, look, hey, as you know, you could have chosen any other agent. I know you knew probably 5 or 6 that were in your phone when we decided to list it, but I think we did a pretty good job. What do you think? Oh my gosh, yeah, you guys were great. Like, I was so impressed with this or that. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of a difficult thing. Like, so talking about what happened in the transaction as a debrief, and then asking for the referral. So things like that, asking for referrals, right? Which Craig wouldn't ask for referrals all the time. He started to when I started telling him, hey, we need to get some more referrals out there. But doing nothing, he had, like, his Zillow profile has like 45-star reviews.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, did you know you had like 45-star reviews? And he's like, yeah.
And they were just coming in. He wasn't even asking for them. People just jumped on Zillow and did it.
Yeah, with a low conversion metric, right? That's and so imagine if he was asking every time, right? And no one really wants to be asking, but to build something, you want people to talk about what you're doing. So what did I bring? I brought essentially a catalyst of digital marketing, branding, targeted strategy. You could also call it energy. Not that he didn't have energy or doesn't have it. The guy works out at 5 a.m. every day, right? So it's not something like that. It's more like, making it fun and doing something new so that people, people catch that buzz. So that is kind of the value of building something, is the buzz. That's why how we make life fun. But yeah, I brought a number of things to the relationship with Craig. But we've worked together for a long time. And so that relationship was built. I wasn't just some vendor that called him up to sell him marketing. We went through, literally within the first 3 months, when it was like, yeah, I'm going to do some digital marketing, send you some leads. He was like, great, let's do it. And I sent him 50 leads, him and his wife, Kim, and Kim does all the staging. I sent him like 50 leads in 2 weeks, and he calls through them, gets 2 to connect. It was just like Zillow leads, but it was our own ads. Or I was writing all our own ads through Facebook when I believe Facebook ads were effective. I think they're still effective, but the cost is ridiculous. He's like, "Oh, these are trash. These aren't worth it." It's like, we got to stay in touch with them. Someone in there, multiple people in there, are new business on top of your current business, and someone is going to buy or sell. We need to be in front of them when they're ready to. He didn't really want to do that, but it's fine. I don't blame him. I don't really want to work buyer leads either, because that's the easiest thing to do is once you have a listing, getting the buyer leads.
Yeah.
That's at least with traditional ads. You can get listing leads too.
Well, I don't know if you tried to do this.
Let's scoot that a little bit that way, just in case.
But you just gave a whole course. So for any agents out there that really want to just get like the bullet points hit, the number one thing about real estate is conversations, right? So he mentions it 3 or 4 times in that little dialogue about conversations, right? About having direct conversations, not indirect. You're talking to him about, he talks about caring for his agents or for his clients, and he does with an ulterior motive to a certain extent because he does want to sell houses, right? And then you talk about having systems, you talk about having confidence, you talk about digital marketing, branding. You hit every single topic that you could teach an entire course on in about 5 minutes, which is pretty rad. So when you got into this industry, how did you start? Because you didn't start in real estate. You started in what part of it, and then transitioned over to real estate. So where did you get your start?
So the way I got my start is I saw Craig's brother, actually. So his name is Dave Chamberlain, very successful agent. I saw him crushing it. And after I met Dave, introduced myself to Craig. So they were working out of the same office. They were partners at some times over the years. See how he crushed it. And I was like, I want to make money like that. I'm newly married. Want to make money like that. Came from mortgages. Actually was selling, it's funny, I was selling reverse mortgages. Did not sell a single reverse mortgage. But, at the time, I'm all ticked off at myself because I couldn't sell a single mortgage.
When was this? How long ago? Wait, what year was this?
This was, it's 10 years ago. So
Okay. So 2015-ish.
15, 16. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it was end of 15, beginning of 16.
And the market's coming back out of our little depression, and we're on the upslope.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, keep going.
So selling reverse mortgages only lasted there about 6 weeks because I could not sell a single one. Not because I couldn't sell. I had a ton of great conversations.
Dude, Tom Selleck was like the spokesman for reverse mortgages for that period of time. I mean, you have that thing going.
Have the mustache during the time?
That's what you needed.
That's what you were missing.
This is newer.
Oh man, that was full Tom Selleck, man. You missed that. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it was, I wasn't really doing something that utilized my skills the best. I can build a relationship. I have a voice that can bridge the gap to talk to someone that doesn't want to talk to you and build a relationship. But the in person, it wouldn't have mattered. Mustache wouldn't have mattered
because it was all on the phone.
It's all over the phone. Had a ton of leads, but I started realizing when I'm doing their little calculations that the owners of the company put together for how valuable it is to the client. I'm like telling the client they're selling it like, oh yeah, this is valuable. Show them this, and I'm like, yeah, this is not valuable to you. Like, this is here's the risks. Like literally paint the risks for them. And they're like, I really want to do it though. They're like, I want that money. Like I want 150 grand right now in lump sum, and then I can take the rest. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you should do this. You need to do this. And so they heard these recordings. They play them. They bring me into the office. They play them. Josh, like, we can't have you doing this. Like we paid a lot of money for these leads, and I'm just sitting there like, we care, don't we? Like,
yeah.
Like, and I'm obviously like freaking out. Like, gosh, I don't want to lose this job. But I was made for more than that. So, at the moment, you may feel like you're down in the dumps, or you may feel like, oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But you have to realize their systems are built to take advantage many times. I did not feel that was a good product, but I didn't really know how to put that in words, and I definitely didn't tell that to them. I told it to the client, I told it to the leads. I didn't feel like it was a good product, but to the guys that sold it, didn't know what I was doing. So I lost that job. So basically, they cut me loose. Thank God. Not that there's not money to be made in it. Not that reverse mortgages haven't helped some people.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, line in the sand, some people, most people know. I have experienced, I have seen firsthand, didn't actually know at this time, but I have extended family that got into a reverse mortgage, and she leaked out every single dollar from that thing, and it just keeps going up, and then those companies sold them off to the government, and essentially it's gone. Like it's you're done. She's completely underwater. Tried to sell her house a few years back, couldn't sell it, could not get enough money, and they absolutely would not settle. They would not short sale it.
And when the LOs are making 6 points on a loan, there's something probably not
Something wrong.
up and up with that.
No, there was definitely something wrong with it. Yeah, it was. But so that exposed me a little bit to the lending side. I knew I didn't want to go that route, and so I was like, well, I know I could sell, right? My dad had always told me. My dad's an engineer, PhD. Oh yeah, you're a salesman. You're a salesman. You're a salesman. I don't think I'm a salesman, but I do care about people, and I tend to overcomplicate things when it comes to like coming up with ideas. But I've been able to funnel that into being a catalyst for, hey, what do you want to do? Like, what are your goals? That's why my management company is called Mission One. What is the number one mission? It's a little bit of an ode to, the missions and, how the gospel is preached up through California, a little bit of that, but mostly it's what is your number one mission with this property? I want to help you exact that. Is it to make as much money as possible? Most people say, not really. It's like, okay, we want to stabilize the asset. We want to take care of it. We can funnel some money back into taking care of it, get it ready for sale. Maybe we use this as a 1031 exchange, right? Defer some taxes, or whatever it is, like, and then also have great income coming in, but protect yourself, right? Make sure everything is protected, because we are in the most tenant friendly state besides New York. We need to make sure that we're doing things by the book as far as California puts it. And where you're confident in that, we're gonna run that alongside you. But yeah, reverse mortgages, not very fun. Not really what I wanted to do. I was just trying to get a job, and I wanted to be in the real estate field. So really quickly after that, started taking my licensing courses. Worked alongside someone as a mentor, and watched how he sold. Very effective salesman. We can cut out his name later. But very awesome salesman, amazing salesman. And I wanted to be like him for the most part. And then I started getting some leads at open houses for him. He would come in and he'd sell it. And there was this one I remember where I held an open house, and we were putting together a dual agency. And then we sold their house. So it ends up being 3 for 1, right? We sell the listing, we turn it into 3. Also, when that's your first sale, that it's funny that that's really what I'm doing with our business now. I'm turning a ton of our listings into dual agency, and I'm turning them into other sales.
Yeah.
Sell it, go buy something else, help the buyer sell their house to buy that house. Like it's very fun, but complex, real estate situations that I'm able to be a part of. And those are far more profitable.
Yeah.
Right? You solve big problems, you get paid more money. And they're things that people want. That's another thing, right? I love the fact that what I'm doing now, absolutely love the fact that I don't get paid till everyone gets what they want. What better career? You don't have to pay me anything up front. Like, I'm putting all the risk of my time out there. You don't lead with that, right? No one wants to hear I'm putting the risk out there. It's their property. Like they're the ones leading with the risk. However, I know the value of my time, and I'm going to bring what I do, everything that I've experienced, as well as my energy to move this forward, to drive it forward. Because in this economy, it does, especially with lending, it does take drive to close some of these escrows. Sorry, lost my train of thought.
Craig's out here just having side conversations. You're dumping your heart
Telling
out.
him to just let Sam and Alyssa come in and listen, because he's dropping fucking gold.
Absolute gold.
I don't even know if you're trying to or not, but like, I listen to you talk and I'm just like, man, everything you're saying is so spot on, because I cut my teeth kind of the same way as, with my mom being my mentor, and she was all about the client. If you got paid, or when you got paid, it was a bonus, right? You work for free. And if you get paid, great. Right. And it was always putting your client first. finding what is important to them, finding their why, and everything that you're saying, I'm sitting there just like nodding my head because like, yeah, I mean, you're doing the right things. You're not in this business to sell. You're in this business to facilitate, right? To help them first and foremost. And then when you get paid, then awesome, right? But my one of my lines always is like, everything I do is guaranteed because my name is more important than any commission check. If I screw up, don't pay me, right? And over my 28-year career, I've never had to actually, give that guarantee. But ultimately, if you had that mindset going in to take care of your people first and foremost, getting paid is a bonus, right? And that mindset is not, it's rare in our business. So when I hear you say that, it's refreshing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I definitely fall into the trap of projecting where I'm coming from when it comes to good faith, goodwill, good faith. Into my relationships. I've done that my whole life. I've always kind of assumed everyone's coming from the same spot.
Yeah, it's false assumption.
It is a false assumption.
Yeah.
And it's burned me a few times. I've had, explicitly with some partnerships too, where I have presumed, and if you're careful how much you put out there, you only can be hurt so bad in situations. Like, for example, a listing, right? You only can be hurt so bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they want to, let's talk about something that very commonly happens. Right? If they want to ask your opinion over and over and string you along like you're going to get the listing, but they don't want it. They don't want to sign anything yet. Oh, I'm not very comfortable with contracts. So be it. I've taken those all the way to the point where I'd say probably 50-50. 50% of them end up giving me the business and signing on the dotted line. And again, I'll let them out. Like I'm not signing to get that 6 months, and then like almost every agent at the big box stores is going to hold them to it if they try and get out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say no. I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
Right. I want a good relationship here. My whole career, back to the asking for reviews.
Yeah.
Like, hey, as you may know, that's what I said I would say it. Hey, as you may know, reputation is everything in real estate. You did not have to choose me, and you chose me. I mean, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate it. I hope I did well by you and by your family. It's a special thing for me. But back to that situation, 50% of the time, if they're a type of listing or seller that doesn't want to give you the business because they just don't want to sign on the dotted line, 50% of the time they've just gone with another agent, and I feel like I'm totally stabbed in the back. Oh my gosh, they just went with someone else. But it's just business.
And sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
And many
They
times
are usually the biggest headaches for sure.
Many times it's a blessing in disguise.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Every time.
So let's just pretend we have two brand new female agents and you had to give them advice. I mean, basically you kind of went through the bullet points, but what advice would you give to someone just starting out in this industry, from, I guess, the conversations, the confidence, the systems, the habits to, I'll let you go. Run with that.
Oh, I thought you were going to finish your sentence. So I was waiting.
And I have some follow-ups on that.
Yeah.
So first off, they're identified as females. So we'll start there.
They just might happen to be listening somewhere in this room.
They might be in the background of some of these recordings.
So the reason I point that out is I 100% believe that gals can sell way better than dudes can in this world, especially in the United States, for a number of reasons. More pleasant to look at typically. However,
I don't know, dude. That mustache is pretty on point.
I was going to tell you, like, I need to trim it a little bit, because if it's too sellicky, if it's too sellicky, it's like, oh yeah, I look a lot like him. And then it starts to age me the opposite way. So you got to cut it.
Well, it's not gray yet, so you're good.
So digressing back from that,
main point.
So the first thing is, gals can sell way more. Most people will feel at ease and trust with a womanly presence than with a guy. That's why you'll find that. Well, I don't have to go into. I was going to say that's why you find that effeminate men actually sell really well too. It's because of the piece, but we don't want to include that.
Yeah. Well, you pat me on the back.
You're a great agent.
But yeah, so that's one thing. That's not the only thing. Obviously, I would say that any new agent guy or gal, or anything in between, what you got to do is you need to figure out what is your. So it's easy to talk about niches. People say niches. My wife would correct me. It's niches. The riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. The reason that's valuable is you want to find valuable things to talk about with sellers of property. Yes, you can work with buyers. You're not going to want to do that your whole life. No one in this industry wants to work with buyers their whole life. Just ask any Redfin agent that gets sent 30 to 50 leads a month that are buyers, and they're burned out within 1 to 3 years. 3 years being a long time.
Yeah.
Those are you can see the age on them. You know presidents that get in, and then 4 years later you're like, whoa, look at those. Same thing with buyers agents.
With Redfin agents
With
or
Redfin
buyers agents in
and
general.
It's buyers agents in general. It's a lot of work. You really want to be talking to sellers. The product, like I was saying before, the product is out there all over the place. Beautiful product that's fun to talk about. Canyon Lake product. You can talk about Lake Elsinore. You can talk about Rossmore. A coveted community that families all are scratching and fighting to get into. Or you can talk about the Highlands. You can talk about, so people love to hear about their homes. So find a niche, whether it's property management, whether it's luxury homes, whether it's homes near the water, whether it's homes in a location specific, right? It could be a niche that's a farm. That's why farming is a well-known way to grow your business, is because you can talk about things that are in the honeypot, what I call an affinity pool. So it's shared affinities, back to copywriting, back to psychology. If you're having conversations with people that own property in an area, most of them are going to share certain affinities with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can talk about those affinities. That's why agents that are really good at snowboarding put up their shredding snowboarding stuff, and they get business from it because the people that share that affinity want to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then they want to talk about real estate. Those are niches. Not really one that I would say build a business off of that.
Yeah.
But social media does allow you to do that. I didn't go that route. I went the route of, which I didn't get into with my history. I started with, after I decided I didn't want to work with that mentor I was talking about, and I learned about selling, and I had a conversation with them where, back to the procuring cause is everything. That's the conversation with the person that says they want to buy or sell. Usually it's selling, because I talk to sellers mostly. I really don't put a lot of weight and value in someone who says, oh yeah, I want to buy. Almost everyone wants to buy. That doesn't mean they can, right? So you have to have some courageous conversations and get some real details out of them to figure out if it's even worth your time to talk about buying, right? So,
and that itself is an art, because you don't
yeah.
want to be direct, and,
Yeah.
and put them on edge or put them on the defensive, but you can get that back to conversations out of them conversationally without being, overly direct. But go ahead.
Yeah, usually I'll ask really hard questions that are really light. So if someone, like, I'm in Costco, I have a guy that I've been working from Costco. When I say working from Costco, met him 4 years ago. He's a seller. He told me he has this, medical business. I run into him in open house. He walks into one of my open houses. Another reason you want to be a listing agent. You get the listings. People do treat you differently when
Mm-hmm.
you're getting a majority of listings in an area. And when you get those listings where you can look back and show people, like, hey, these are all the properties we sold. We sold these. Our faces were all on these. Like, people see it. Boom. Box is checked in their brain, psychology-wise. Like, this person knows what they're talking about. But anyways, this guy, I've been working him since Costco. He was talking about buying something. I said, well, so you're wanting to buy some like luxury short-term rentals. So that's why I got into short-term rentals. But he was like, I want to buy like one, probably in Newport Beach. I was like, that's amazing. It's amazing. You're gonna pay all cash? Just throw it in there. He's like, well, no, I don't have that kind of money. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm just curious, because you said you wanted to get one. And I'm thinking, like, if you've lined up the financing or anything like that, because I do have relationships with some people that'd be interested in selling. But you mentioned you want to get one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking, are you thinking like the condos, or are you thinking more like ones that are down on the peninsula? Right. So, like, taking that conversation where they're a potential lead, and most agents will hear that and they'll just put it in their pocket, like, I have a lead, and they'll just like go along their merry way. And I have a lead. I'm building my business.
And hope they reach out to you instead. Yeah.
Well, no, what I'm saying is qualify that person right there. Right. So you're going to pay all cash. Oh, no. And sometimes they'll be like, Well, yeah, I was thinking of paying all cash because I'm inheriting some money. That's awesome. Great. Boom. Actually, like possible buyer, right? So, look, you need to qualify. That's what all of the whole business boils down to. How many people can you qualify on a weekly and a monthly basis? That's sellers and buyers. So you can boil down. You can have goals. I want to sell 20 million. I want to sell 10 million. I want to sell 50 million or 100 million. You can boil that all down with Hormozy's, SMART goals. SMART goals. Actually, I don't even know if he calls them SMART goals, but Hormozy's like the guy in digital marketing right now. Obviously, he sold more books than anyone, I think, privately in like a 24 or 48 hour period.
I bought. I'm in.
Craig bought like 300 of them.
Well, this dude's on the shoulders of giants. Like he's built his business off of really understanding copywriting, understanding psychological barriers to selling, and then also an immense amount of confidence to teach other people how to do that, right? And he doesn't make any guarantees, which protects him. Hormozy's awesome. I have nothing against Hormozy. On the shoulders of giants. Where was I? I was talking about the
new agents, giving them advice.
Well, and also, I mean, I'll maybe plug your brand a little bit. But
Sure.
So when you're talking about this stuff, I mean, conversations that you're talking about, pre-qualifying conversations, those aren't SMART goals. There you
SMART
go.
goals is what I was on.
Okay, we'll not mark that down because that is an art in itself, and that's where I think a lot of agents struggle, is having the confidence to have those conversations. Part of that confidence comes from knowledge, right? So you're coming at this at a pretty solid foundation of knowing what's going on. So when you're asking these questions, you probably already have an idea of where you're going with this conversation. You know whether you're talking about a condo or out in the peninsula, and you have properties in mind. You know that you're talking about ROI. You know that you're leading this conversation with these questions based off of the confidence and the knowledge that you have, right? So you can go back to the SMART goals, but I think having the conversation for a lot of new agents, it's just like, it's so hard to be able to direct these conversations and not let the client direct the conversation, because then you get lost in talking about nonsense when really you're trying to get this directed conversation to figure out, do they actually qualify? Can they buy a house? Are they getting a loan at 90% down and trying to do this, and the return's not there, and like you've already lost before you started, right? So
yeah.
Sorry, you got a whole separate topic.
We can go with SMART goals, but I want to focus on that. So that is the crux of lead generation, is qualifying, right? That is, you can lead generate all day long. I started going into a little bit of my background with digital lead generation. I've done some very cool things with data, but if you can't qualify those into figuring out if they actually are going to buy or can buy, or if they're actually going to sell or can sell. Oh yeah, my family owns a property. It's like, okay, well, you're probably not the decision maker, right? So, again, but a lot of people will think that's valuable. You get the decision maker. Those lead generating conversations, they have to come from a place of respecting yourself, which is, again, confidence, respecting your time, and then putting that person in front of you, putting their time on a pedestal. So it's not that I'm controlling the conversation. You end up controlling the conversation, but it's not about leading with that. It's about leading with their story,
finding their why.
Their why. Another way to say it that I like to come up with, or I've in my head, I'm always thinking about is, they are their main character. They're the main character. Again, back to, I don't get paid until they get what they want. They're the main character. I'm just helping them with their story. So if I treat them like that, they are more than happy to let me lead the conversation. So, for example, with this guy I'm talking about from Costco, he's talking about wanting a short-term rental. Does not have consistent income, I find out, but he has 2 properties. So I asked him about the cash, right? And so he said, well, why do you want to know if I have cash, right? He starts to clam up. I said, well, financing is not that easy. And even for short-term rentals, now at the time, this was about 4 years ago, at the time, they didn't have some of these non-QM options that Bill was talking about on the lending call before. And so I knew that he was going to have to show tax records showing that he's got significant income, and if he's going to get a loan on one of these places. So cash is going to help him get a short-term rental. So that comes from knowledge, right? Like you're saying, Craig. Like I have to have a little bit of some basic knowledge about lending in order to have that conversation with him. But again, back to I'm respecting his time. If he tells me he wants to get a short-term rental, I might be able to help him. Let's be respectful of your time. Let's not waste time. Are you serious about it? Are you serious about getting a short-term rental? Have you had one before? Well, no, I've never had one. Okay. So it would be a business, but it'd be like, this would be kind of a new venture for you, right? Yeah. This would be something new. Okay. So what I'm doing with that is I'm establishing dominance. I'm establishing he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I can still help him. So him saying it himself, this would be a new thing for me. What he's doing is he's subjugating himself to listen to you if you have the knowledge. And it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to have a depth of knowledge in anything, in any one thing, across all of marketing, across all of sales. All you have to have is 5% more knowledge than who you're talking to sell them something. And that's an arbitrary number. Hormozy talks about that too. You only have to have a little bit more info than them in order to take them farther.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, because everything else, once you have procuring costs, once you have the signed listing agreement, there are literally, 400,000 agents who could all do the rest of the job.
Yeah.
Right. Are they all going to close it? No. Guaranteed no. Probably half of them will fumble it. That's also important. But that's not what this guy in front of me wants to hear. He wants to hear about his hopes and dreams. And so I'm able to qualify very quickly that a short-term rental to him, and in his mind, not in my mind, in his mind, it's going to be tough. I might need to come up with some cash, right? And if he opens up more, then I can have that conversation about where we're going to find that cash, where we can get that money. 9-unit medical building, owns his home outright, all equity. So okay,
two great spots.
Great spots we can go get some cash, right? So it's fun. It's fun. It's very fun. Figuring this type of stuff out because it's a puzzle.
Yeah,
and it's just about positioning yourself in those conversations, not dominating the conversation for the sake of being on. Dude, people's bullshit meters.
Just be a resource, right?
Be a resource.
Be helpful.
People's bullshit meters are super high.
Sure.
Because there's noise everywhere.
Yeah.
They're on their phones all day long. 2 of the 5 people in this room are on their phones. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's so much noise. We're really, really good at reading people and where they're coming from. Therefore, when I'm talking to someone, if I make it about me for an instant, they will turn off listening. Yeah. If I make it about me, they will turn off.
People love to hear themselves talk.
That too.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So then I digress. Go back to, you mentioned talking about SMART goals. I'm guessing going about planning.
So SMART goals, that's for a new agent. Specific, manageable,
measurable,
attainable, relative, time,
realistic, and
something.
timely.
Something in there.
You said you love redundancies. Yeah, it's a little bit redundant, but the idea is, you take that lens and you put it on my goal, right? Is it a SMART goal to say I want to make 100 million this year? Even for me, where my business is at, it's like probably not. I don't see where that is. Right? I'm gonna have to create some much bigger levers than I have currently. Yeah. But you can start to do that as a new agent pretty easily because it's relative to 0 commissions. 1 commission is a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a fun thing about a SMART goal is that you don't need to sell to make 50 grand in a year for a new agent. You don't have to sell very much.
2 houses.
Well, depending on what market you're in, right? It could be 1 house.
Yeah, it could be 1 house. But you're going to have a certain amount of conversations to get there. To sell 2 houses or 2 units. Now, we know that there is something about volume in this, but places like Georgia and other states, they can sell 200 houses and they're not going to match, a high standing agent here in California. And that's a lot of units. That's a lot of selling. That's a lot more work.
So you're going through your numbers right now. And as you mentioned earlier, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business, right? So when it comes to setting these goals and you say, okay, I want to make my first year in the business, I want to make 250 grand, right? And there's going to be some kind of a formula between how many conversations that you have, how many appointments that you get from those conversations, how many transactions you get. So do you break your goals up into numbers that way, or how do you break your goals up?
So I used to do this every couple months. It wasn't like, militaristically, not super disciplined on it. I've been in such a grind, like a work that's coming at me, I have set my vision out on a yearly basis. I should be every morning reviewing my goals. That's what should be happening, because there is a power to speaking what you want to accomplish, speaking it into existence. There's no magic manifesting idea. There's no magic to it, but there is power in in the tongue, right? Even from whether you believe in the Bible or not, God Almighty spoke the world into being, and we know from science, we know that light. They're finding out that light has mass, right? So even "let there be light," like that phrase, this ancient text, like there's something about the weight of your words that happens, and we know from relationships. If you're in a relationship and there is a lot of dark conversation, it's probably only going one direction, right? You can speak life into people with your words. So we know it. So even more so to ourselves. The thing about this world that we're in is we're so focused on everything around us. Most people are not having those conversations with themselves to know themselves. It's a big thing you have to fix in order to have smart goals. You really need to know yourself. I would guess that someone that's going from zero to I want to make 250 grand this year may not be in tune with knowing themselves. Maybe they do. There are people that operate like that can go 0 to 250. It's not for me to say who those people are. You have to know yourself. But yeah.
So you mentioned earlier Simon Sinek. You've mentioned Alex Hormozy. You mentioned the Bible. What books out there have you read to get you to where you are? Self-help, personal development. What's your go-to?
I've not been reading books recently as much as I should. I spent a lot of time on self-development for years leading up to starting my own business. One book when I launched I launched a summit. When I left that mentor I was talking about, and I decided I was going to make my own money online through consulting in real estate. Oh, you have no sales. I don't need to have sales. Like I understand how to get them. I don't want to go and sell. I understand lead generation. And so I started generating leads. And then I was like, you know what? I need to take what I'm doing. I need to sell in a consulting course. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do a course because I actually didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in just giving them the information and letting them flounder. So it was more consulting. So I got retainers. I launched this summit to bring in a ton of agents. And then I interviewed some of the top names in real estate. And I talked to this guy, Toby Salgado. At the time, with Super Agents Live, Toby Salgado had, at one point, was the biggest real estate podcast when podcasting was newer. I don't think he's very active anymore. I think he does it every couple of weeks, maybe. But he's still he'll interview top performing agents. And so he saw right through some of my BS and my sale, where he's like, well, you haven't done this, Josh. What makes you know how to generate leads for these agents when you haven't done it yourself, right? They asked me this on
live in front of a whole bunch of agents.
And I started to sweat, but I got right to it. I was like, well, look, I've been in the sphere of it. I wasn't doing the selling. I didn't have the procuring costs in every situation when I was working with my mentor before. But what I do is I am a catalyst for these agents, and I've had successes. And so I then talked about the successes I had, and that was a valid response. He didn't harp on it harder. But those type of questions are the reason a lot of people never go big in anything, is fear of well, who am I to do this? Who are you not to do it? You just have to decide. You decide who you are. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that's making a lot of money? Probably not going to take you very far because it's not about the money, even though a lot of people, that is their drive, but they usually will sink at some point. They will usually go adrift at some point. If the focus is money, they will usually go adrift. Obviously, we all need to provide for our families. Or some of us, maybe we don't have a family, and just provide for ourselves and have nice cars and all the fancy trips and everything. Money is a part of it, and protecting your time and your value is a part of it. But you have to be focused on something else. And so helping other people, what people call value, bringing value to the table, needs to be the focus. Toby Salgado, he asked me my favorite book, and he laughed at me when I told him he's a rough podcaster. He will call out BS. And I was like, you know what? I had just read Allen, last name Allen. I think it's Paul Allen. Cash in a Flash. And I was like, you know what? I've been reading Cash in a Flash, and that's something that has really, really speaking to me. And you're like, Cash in a Flash? It sounds so like fluffy. Like, what? What is that? And so Cash in a Flash is a story. It's actually two-part. The way he wrote the book, um, is it Paul Allen? It's someone Allen, very famous. I should know the name too. But he wrote a story. He actually wrote it two ways, so the different types of people could absorb it. On one way, he talked about how you could go from zero to a business that's cash flowing utilizing the internet. On the other end, it was a story of a single mother who was hard on her luck, and how she did it. How she wrote essentially just a course, but it was a PDF. How she wrote this PDF, and she had no list. She had no one she knew how to sell to, and she had no blog. And she wrote out what she understood. I think it was about tax planning or something like that. But she understood something. Again, back to that, you have to know 5% more than someone in order to sell them something. She wrote out this cool PDF, and she's sitting there destitute in her one-bedroom apartment with her kids. And she just like snaps into, I'm going to do this by the end of the weekend. And she finds people to talk to about this PDF. She puts it on, she gets up a website. She starts putting things into the world, not knowing what's going to happen, blogging about what she talks about in her PDF that she's selling for like $15. And she gets a sale like 3 days later, and then another sale, and then 20 sales. And then she just, all of a sudden, she's got $20,000 in her bank account. And this Cash in a Flash is all about that. And then she turned it into an empire, right? She took the value that was generated by this, and then she refolded it back into her business and did more. And so, again, she spoke to herself in a way. And then again, back to the book, Cash in a Flash, I would recommend to someone in the real estate world or at all. Wealthiest Man in Babylon is another one. It's an awesome book. I reread that all the time because it's super practical. But again, back to stories.
Mm-hmm.
I have used the Wealthiest Man in Babylon. I've used some of those lessons in evaluating opportunities for myself.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is if you are a shield maker, don't get into the jewel trade. Like if you're making shield, I mean, literally, there's a whole chapter on like this shield maker, and he's really good at making shields and armor. And then he's got this guy who comes to him selling him jewels and like, oh, if you invest into my boat, we're going to go and get jewels from a faraway land, bring them back, sell them for a profit. He's like, well, sounds pretty legit. And I understand everything, right? I'll put up some money on that. And the boat sinks or some stupid thing. But the idea is like, if you really don't know about something else, like you need your prime income stream, whatever it is you're doing, you need to understand that. And you shouldn't be investing into things you don't really understand unless you're willing to lose the money.
Mm-hmm.
So I've used that many times when I'm doing real estate. I'm like, hey, am I really getting into that? Literally, I've said this to people that are like, what are you talking about? Am I getting into the jewel trade with this? Like, I don't really sell jewels. Like, probably shouldn't do this.
I've read that book and I've had some ships sink.
Yeah.
A couple different ships.
Yeah, me too. Or go like, or show up on a different shore and someone else sells all the goods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the jewels are made out of plastic.
I think I got this conversation. Did you have a whole different topic that you want to talk about, or did I just?
No,
I think we talked.
There
I
was,
think we said we were just going to
just kind of talk.
just spitball. I think you said spitball.
We did say spitball. I did have a couple questions. I think your kind of thought and your ideas on this would be really valuable. Coming from the digital marketing background versus like Craig Chamberlain, who's been farming the same area for 30 years. How
Nothing wrong with that.
do you see, like, I guess the crossover? Because people are constantly saying you should do meta ads only or Google ads or cold outreach or farming. Like, if you were a brand new agent, what would you do to generate leads? And how do you like balance all these different lead sources?
You said a lot of people are saying this. Who's saying that? I want to understand. Like, this is probably valuable.
Like if you go on any real estate coaching website, they're saying, or on Instagram, and the guy is saying, oh, you need to call 2,000 people every day on a dialer, 200 people every day, and only do cash offers. Or the guy who's selling his meta course is saying, all you need to do is run meta ads. Everybody's saying they have the best.
There's just so much noise in this space. Everybody seems to be a coach or a guru touting one way or the other. If it's just Instagram, oh man, I made $8,000 last month on Instagram, or I made this much in meta ads or PPC ad, or whatever the case may be. How would you unfold that or unpack that for a new agent?
So difficult to answer in one way. I have to kind of start at the back to move forward through it. First, you have to know yourself, right? So if they're telling you it's meta ads, or if they're telling you it's cold calling, knowing yourself means how am I looking at this guy? What is the lens I'm looking at him as? If you find yourself like he could do no wrong, thinking like they can do no wrong, probably got rose-colored glasses. So you need to know yourself, right?
Do a SWOT analysis, figure out what your strengths are, or weaknesses are.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a way to speak to it for someone that's more analytical. So when you know yourself, you can approach it with confidence that you can trust your decision making. I'll speak for myself. Being in business and having lots of failed businesses and some mediocre, like there's that mediocre businesses. I love that line in Josh. What's the one where Mad Max Fury Road, right? So you got Immortan Joe. Every time one of his guys that are totally sold out for his vision. This is important.
Okay.
Is they call them the War Boys, right? These War Boys are sold out on the vision of Immortan Joe, right? And literally, whatever he says, he's like a god to them. Immortan Joe is just a man; he's not a god. So I love that. I love movies. I love all this kind of stuff. But these War Boys want to make him happy. They want to make him. They want to go to Valhalla and make him happy. So every time, like they're willing to kill themselves to apprehend or to get the gold, get the car, flipping so that Immortan Joe can get the spoils and share it and everything. Immortan Joe, every time they fail, he'll like scream out and be like, mediocre. It's hilarious, right? It's like mediocre, like just like a little more sand in their eye, like you didn't do good enough and you're dead. Lots of mediocre businesses where I've spoken to myself from a negative standpoint, like this is super mediocre. Why am I spending time on this? Like I'm not taking it where I need to take it, and this can't get there. I will take that lens of being critical with myself, not downtrodden on myself, not talking crap on myself, but being critical with myself. I'll take that. Cold calling's the only way. It's like, okay, you have people that have successfully done this, and they have ways of making it look like it's very successful. But the reality is cold calling is cold calling. Like, yeah, if you call enough people, if you qualify enough people, heck yeah, you're going to have success. Am I ready to call all those people?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am. Most people who say yes, they actually don't know themselves.
Yeah.
They're not ready to make all the calls that are needed to actually succeed. Same thing with ads. Ads is patience. So do you have the money and do you have the patience? I would recommend ads for someone that is sitting on a business that's already successful and they have never shown a light on their business from the direction that an ad can do. Yeah, if you're willing to devote $5,000 in ad spend to this for the next 3 months, then sure. Yeah, we might be able to get some success with it. We're going to have to qualify the leads that come through. So that's knowing yourself or knowing the client. When I say client, I'm talking about real estate brokerages or agents, knowing what they're trying to do. I would not suggest that someone do cold calling if they're not prepared to get the crap kicked out of them on the phone. I know guys that are good at door knocking. I have one guy that I'm gonna put on door knocking as soon as he gets his license. Actually, I should be having him door knock now. I just haven't ordered the notepads. He's gonna do amazing at door knocking. How do I know? Because he's already has a successful window cleaning business just from door knocking, right? Cares about the people, cares about the quality. Hires other guys. Like he's got the business mindset that he can literally build a real estate company that will pay him $250,000 a year from door knocking. He can do that. You have to know yourself to take the step. To answer your question more directly, from all that, you only have so many shots too. So you can't do everything.
Mm-hmm.
You only have so much time in your life. My buddies that haven't gotten married and haven't had kids yet, like it may suck to hear this, but you only have so much life. Like I haven't even gotten to the short-term rental discussion, One of my clients was the largest private short-term rental manager. So they were a client. They brought me in as the COO of their real estate company because they were not a real estate company. This is a whole other topic we could talk about, short-term rentals, like how I got the knowledge I have in short-term rentals, what they can cash flow for, the permitting, and how like there's a whole push from Airbnb to get short-term rentals out of all these different locales. There's a lot of fun conversation there, like as markets change, and those type of conversations I've used to generate dozens and dozens of leads for my business, because those are real things in the landscape of California that affect people's livelihoods. But the owner of this company, when I sat in front of him and he wanted to make me the COO of the real estate portion of the company, which had about 160 units, and then there was another 300 under the short-term side. It was all overarching, bigger company. I sat in front of him and I asked for a part of the company. It was a little bit, I think it was a little tone deaf to the reality of like what I was doing. What he should have told me, which I would have loved, is, Josh, we're making you this and formalizing this because we want to sell the company. I wish he would have told me that. But he told me, I'm not going to sell the company. We want you for the long term. And they sold it too. That was the whole purpose, was to bring me on so that he can actually build out the team he needed to show this other company that it was super valuable. But he sat across from me. He's like, I appreciate you asking, because I came with the whole case why I wanted 5% of the company, like how I was going to grow the business, this and that. And I was an outside marketer, right? One thing that one of the other guys said is like, you're the only guy we've spent marketing dollars on, like outside contractor, that has actually had a positive ROI. So like, we will send a lot more your way. That's one reason they also brought me in. They wanted me to be a part of that team. So I took that and I brought it to the CEO and I told him, like, I know that what I'm doing is valuable, or I know that your ROI is all positive with me, and you've never had that before, right? That's like, and I didn't hold that as leverage, but just let's have a real conversation about it.
We're glad to have you.
All right. Well,
I
have a lot more to talk about, but we'll save it for next time, because I want to get into a couple things you touched on, but I know we got some things to do now. But all right, Josh, man, well, thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it, and look forward to the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.